Hey guys, what's going on? Andy Elliott. I'm here today with my beautiful wife, Chaplin, and we're here with Travis Hearn, which is the, I would say, is it pastor of the Cardinals? Am I saying that right?
I pastored the Cardinals, the Phoenix
The
Team
Phoenix
Chaplin,
Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Team Chaplin.
And yep. Still Phoenix Suns in 23 years with Phoenix Suns. And then Major League Baseball, been Chaplin Major League Baseball for 12 years. So
Yeah, I want to tell everybody, number one, I go to Impact Church, which is his church. And I want to tell you something, changed my whole life. I love the cold, hard truth. I don't want anybody to feed me ice cream and make me feel good. I was just telling him I want the cold, hard truth because that's how I grow. All growth starts with truth and honesty. This is going to be probably the greatest podcast we've ever released. This is going to be the greatest training you could ever get. The fact that we're here with Travis, we all live in Scottsdale together. This guy could be anywhere that he wants, but he's here with us right now because I told him that my audience, I know if we can keep God on top, we're all going to create the greatest lives ever. And so I asked Travis, could you come here? Could you talk to our people? We have hundreds of thousands of people that view every day. And I want you to know this. There's the day you're born, the day you die, and the day your life changes forever. And I have a feeling today, if you'll just put everything away and you'll listen to this knowledge that Travis is going to drop, it's going to change your life forever. Like you'll never be the same again. So Travis, me and my wife are grateful that you're here. Super fired up. And if you like sports and all that stuff, you're a coach. Mm-hmm. I like that. I feel like he's a preacher coach. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm going to church when I go. I feel like I'm going to a sports game because I feel like you're coaching me as you're teaching me about Jesus, right? Do you feel that?
Yeah, it's all about the way you lead and you bring your heart. Yeah. And the fact that you were coaching all of these teams, you learned to talk to them a specific way, I'm sure, and it resonates with so many different people because I think like learning about God also can be led in that way. You're actually coaching people to feel that love of Christ and incorporate them in their daily lives in terms that we can all understand, which is amazing. So it's just a really cool thing. The way you've built your church, you know, your experience with all these athletes and all these different things that you've done definitely have created an amazing pastor, and we get to be a product of that and all the people around us as well. So thank you for that.
And Travis, all these people want to go to a new level. They want to push every day. They're watching this training because they want to self-develop, right? You're around athletes all the time. They want the same thing.
yeah.
You know, I'm just imagining, you know, like when you're a godly man and then also you're the coach and you want to win.
Yeah.
I feel like this message today goes out to all the entrepreneurs, all the business people. Every single person watching this doesn't want to lose.
Yeah.
So what do you, like, just starting like from the very beginning when you first started, you know, what kind of difference do you see with these did you see with these athletes? Like, did you see a lot of brokenness? Like, what is it that made you passionate about, you know, being that chaplain for, you know, the Phoenix Suns, for example, and then going in and, you know, expanding and being an actual pastor of a church and growing that? But what did you see was a difference? Why did you see that as a need with all of these?
Well, I think you know, to start out with the things you guys are talking about, and maybe even a lot of people in the audience, like you're chasing something, but you don't realize once you get it that you still feel empty. Mm-hmm. Like I'm chasing success. I want to build a business. You know, the church is a business. Like everybody thinks of the church as like a church, but the church is also a business. I mean, Jesus literally said, I'm about my Father's business, like the work of God, right? But like the church, it incorporates you've got employees, you've got HR, you've got hiring, you've got unfortunately firing, you've got managing, you've got leading, you know, you've got branding, you've got marketing, you've got everything a business have is what the church is.
Right.
But I think going back to your question is, I've been around I have the most famous people you've probably ever heard of in my contact list that I pastor. Right. Whether they're superstar, you know, athletes or you know, or business owners or just generic celebrities, actors, actresses, or musicians or whatever. The thing is like, you know, I think it's important because you said to keep for your business. It's like we want to keep God at the top.
Right.
Well, for me, I didn't grow up in church, so like God wasn't at the top. I grew up an athlete. Yeah. So I think if you are something, that's just embedded in you. It's built in you. So I was built in I'm a built-in athlete. So
Right.
then when I become a pastor or a coach or a leader of athletes, I already was one.
Right.
Right. And so God gives each of us personalities and certain ways that we do things. But like, I didn't grow up in church. I'm not the pastor's kids who's, most of my national known
Right.
names of pastors across the nation, like their daddy was a pastor, their
Yeah.
daddy's daddy was a pastor. Like, that's not my situation.
That's great.
So going back to answering your question, the athletes, pro athletes, NBA players, NFL players, MLB players, pro athletes, they run on different gears. Their gears aren't normal people gears. They're pros. They're pros, and a lot of them are pros. So the thing about it is, you cut them and they bleed, and they go through problems, and they go through failures, and they go through emptiness, and they go through, man, I got a lot of freaking money in my bank account, and I feel spiritually, emotionally, relationally bankrupt. Right? So is the secret sauce money?
No.
That's not the secret sauce. Like, the secret sauce is Christ, it's purpose in life. And so I think for what I do, because I've been in pro sports ministries for 23 years, I think I'm safe to say I've seen it all. I've seen the player run out and the crowd goes crazy, but I know what's really going on in that human's life.
Right.
And the same is true with business owners. I mean, you pull in business owners like, oh man, they're the top in their world, and and they might look a certain way, or they might, but like, we know what's going on, and life's hard. Life's hard, man. Life's, and it's hard. And so, my whole goal is to point people towards hope, the cross, purpose, fulfillment. Like, what is true fulfillment? Is it another, 100 grand in your pocket this year? Oh yeah, I'm way more happier than I was that isn't. That isn't. That's what we think it is.
Yeah.
And money's not a bad thing. Money's a tool. It depends on what you use it for. Right. Is it good or bad? Money's a neutral. Yeah. Jesus talked more about money than any other topic. Wonder why. Yeah. Like, he knew that the three of us would have problems with it. We would mismanage it, mishandle it, Right. And so I think that for me, being a coach, being a pastor, being a leader, it's just God built it in me. I didn't really choose it. It chose me.
You were telling us the story of how you decided, to follow Christ. Would you share a little bit about that when you were a kid? What happened?
Yeah.
Usually it's adversity that makes us make those hard choices, and that's why we love your directness. And I think a lot of our audience that we have, and the people that are successful, are really comeback kids that had a hard life, that they decided to make a choice, and sometimes falling straight on your face, makes you wake up.
Yeah.
What happened in your situation that made you want to decide?
So I've been thinking a lot about this, because a lot of the world's greatest achievers they come from brokenness.
Right.
They're broken people, and that really is my situation. I mean, I came and grew up in broken family, and and then again and then again and again. It's like, if I could rewind to my mother, my mom was born as a result of an affair. So she never knew her dad, because that dude split. And then my mom's mom had two more girls from two different dads. So all three girls have three different dads, right? So now my mom's in Southern California. Her mother, my mom's mother, this is confusing. But when my mom was 13, her mother was raped and murdered and left in the hills of Southern California. So that's what brought my mom to Arizona to live with her grandmother. So 3 years later, she has me, right? So they get married. The marriage didn't work out. I mean, they're young, they're dumb, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's anger, there's everything that you wouldn't want is what it was. So that marriage lasted a few years. My mom got married a second time. That marriage lasted 13 years. And then he committed adultery on my mom, got another woman pregnant, and then my mom was on her third marriage. She was married for 25 years, this third marriage. Great man. The first marriage, it was equally yoked, where they both loved God, and he actually just passed away. He got diagnosed with an aggressive cancer, and last week, actually, he went to be with the Lord. I say all that because I grew up in all that. Yeah. I grew up in, like, I was the kid and all that. I was the kid, like, wow, Born in Phoenix, Arizona, born in Maricopa County Hospital because that's where you went if you didn't have money to have a child. Lived in Maryville. If anybody knows Maryville, Arizona, I mean, it's the worst neighborhood in the state. It's crime. I mean, our house is broken into. When I mean broken into, I mean everything stolen. I mean washers and dryer, like everything. Like, wow. So that's what I grew up in. Yeah. So I grew up where my biological dad was a visitation. Mm-hmm. He wasn't in my house. Yeah. A role model in my life, showing me Jesus, showing me how to pray, showing me how to. I didn't have that. Yeah. Like, I grew up in brokenness. So I grew up. I was an elite athlete, right? Yeah. Here's the question: why? Mm-hmm. Like, have you ever really thought about that? Like, why are successful people successful people? Why are business owners that are crushing it? Why are they successful? And that's really what I've been wrestling with in my own like spiritual and emotional journey for about 2 years, because you say even the church, successful and all that, and it is, and we're doing it for the Lord, but like a lot of what drives successful people is brokenness.
Exactly.
And so for me, it was like, dude, as a child, I needed affirmation. Yeah. I needed my father to be like, you're amazing. You're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. Like, so what happens is when your child doesn't get what they're supposed to get and their God-given, need, they go find it. Yeah. Right. It's like for me, I found it in sports. So there's some controllables there. Yeah. I was athletic by nature. And then I was driven by nature. You put the two together because there's a lot of athleticism, but they have no drive. They're good, but they're not going to be insane. And then there's the opposite. I got the drive, but I'm not super athletic. Mm-hmm. So I had that combination. And then what happens is, one thing I know for sure is I can outwork everybody. Yeah. I can outwork you. I'll get there before you. I'll stay there later than you. And I'll work harder than you the whole time we're there, right? And then everybody's going to go, great job, man. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You get this award. You get that award, this trophy, this plaque and everything. And as a kid, that feels great. You're like, dude, that feels good. That feels good. So then you go chase it more, right? And then eventually you go and you become an adult. And for me, I've thought about a lot of my life was like performance driven, right? Not spirit driven, not Holy Spirit driven, but performance driven. Mm-hmm. And so, even when it comes to like, pastoring a church and everything, should that be about performance? No, it should be about Jesus, loving God, loving people. But at times, like this creature that was built when I was a kid keeps trying to pop its head in. And so again, going back to the question that you answered, I grew up in brokenness. Yeah. I was an elite athlete. School was not hard for me. I didn't apply myself, but it wasn't hard. Yeah. I looked like the man probably from everybody else's position. Like, dude, he's got it going on. And inside I'm broken. Yeah. It's so broken that I didn't even know I was broken. Yeah. And I'm going through middle and high school, and I'm drinking all the time, and I'm smoking weed all the time, and I'm mean, I'm ornery, I'm not nice to people, and that's who I was. Yeah, it's
awesome.
Until right, and so the craziest, one of the craziest stories of my life is how I even got into this like Jesus thing and church thing. So for me, it was. We got knocked out of playoffs my senior year in high school, and basketball, and my coach was only my coach for that 1 year. That was his only year. The previous coach, he had been there for a long time. And my junior year, we went to the state championship game. We lost by 2. Well, we were getting 3 or 4 starters back, so we're like, dude, we got another run at this. But the coach resigned during the middle of the summer. We were like, that's weird. We later found out he was losing his marriage, so. He was going through some personal stuff. So they brought this guy in for 1 year. Season's over. He calls me. He's single. He's 45 years old. And he's like, Trav, can you give me a ride? My car broke down to the, Arizona all whatever selections, whatever they call them, for athletes. And I was like, I mean, okay. But I'm thinking it was a little weird. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm 17. He's 45. I'm thinking like, you don't have like a 45-year-old friend you could call? Like, this is a little weird. But I'm like, okay. So I drop him off. I couldn't go in there. I'm a student athlete. I pick him up an hour later, and he's like, congratulations, you made first team, whatever it was called. And sometimes they call them all state, sometimes they call them all conference. They change all the time. But whatever it was, Then he says, do you want to go celebrate? Well, I mean, I'm like, I'm not book smart, but I am street smart. And I'm thinking like, that might be a setup. Like what'd you have in mind? Oh man, I got this friend that lives down the road and I'm buying all the alcohol, all you can drink tonight. Well, at 17, I'm like, that's a freaking great idea. Like, half the battle's finding a buyer, It's like, I don't got to go find a buyer. Like, ask some random dude at Circle K, like, pay him $20. Like, this guy's buying. Like, let's go. So we did. I got beyond smashed. Had an hour drive home. Half hour into it, I got pulled over. Got a DUI. Somebody called the cops on me because I was swerving all over. For those of you that are young and don't understand what I'm saying, there weren't cell phones back then. Like there just happened to be somebody behind me with one of those car mobile phones.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? They're attached to the
yes,
car.
I remember.
Like this big. He's like, and they called on me.
Those are fancy.
And and I got pulled over. I got arrested. I got put in the back of a police car. I got taken to jail in Phoenix, Arizona. And my mom gets a phone call that her son's in jail. And so imagine the roller coaster, like you're great. You made this, all whatever. And then it's like, you're going to jail. And then, and then my mom picks me up and she had found Christ. She got really on fire for Jesus a few years before that. When I mean on fire, I mean on fire, like fire for Christ. And she picked me up and took me back to our area, our neighborhood, asked me if I wanted to go to her pastor's house. And I did. And and I'm kind of bunny hopping through the story, but like the story is, I'm in the back of the car. It's quiet the whole ride home.
Right.
She's with her sister in the front seat, and I'm drunk, and so we get home. It's an hour ride, and she's like, Travis, do you want to stop by my pastor's house? Well, I didn't even know those people. I don't go to church.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I just don't answer her, it'll go away. So I didn't answer her.
And she just drove there.
About 5 minutes later, she goes, son, I asked you a question. Do you want to go? And then I'm like, sure. And so we go to this pastor. I mean, this is how crazy this is. I'm walking into the preacher's house. I've got a can of chewing tobacco in my pocket. And I'm thinking, I'm going into the Holy of Holies. There's no way I can take this in there. You know what I'm saying? So like I chucked it into his bush. One of the bushes in his front. He found it the next day. Yeah. But like, I'm like, that's how crazy it was. And I walked in, sat down, and he was like, what are you doing here? And real aggressive, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, got a DUI. He's like, well, if you're here because you disappointed your mom or you're here because you got in trouble, there's the door, walk out. He's like, if you're here because you want to find purpose and, God to change your life, then you can stay. And I was like, you want to talk about like in your face. Mm. And that's what I needed. That's who I am. It's like, bring it. Like, don't sugarcoat it. Bring it, man. And so that's how I even became a Christian. So like, I didn't grow up in it. So our church, Impact Church, I don't know. We don't know. I don't know. I didn't have somebody show me the ropes on how to do a church or pastor a church. Yeah. I just found something. I found the answer. Yeah. So it's like, dude, I'm going to give it away. Yeah. And so because of the craziness of my story, I was asked to tell the story everywhere. Yeah. Young Life, schools, youth groups, camps, businesses. I mean, I was asked to tell the story because it was that crazy. Yeah. And eventually, here I am 30-something years later in ministry.
That's so awesome. I like you more after that story, just so you know. We use the term bloodline breakers because that's what we believe we are. And I think your story resonates so much more. Like, we've heard you talking about bits and pieces just from going to your church, but just laying it all out there the way you did today is just so awesome because, I mean, we believe that we're bloodline breakers. We have a lot of similarities to your story, and I think that a lot of successful people, I mean, you can really take it in like, hey, I'm a victim, and I think the world does a really good job at making you feel victim or ashamed of that. And a lot of people are telling people their heartaches or their struggles as they're going through them, and they almost feel like they're prisoners to that. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you talked about your struggles while you're going through them, but like what we did is we didn't talk about the sacrifices or the struggles until after we got out of them to inspire other people and being like, hey, you know what? You're worth it. You're okay. You're going to be fine. And you decided to be that bloodline breaker just like we did, obviously with different circumstances, but we like you even more. Yeah, it's awesome.
I fell in love with your preaching, and I just want to say this, or your message, because when you say I'm broken, like immediately you catch my attention.
Right.
Because I think of going into the church and I think of everybody being holy, and then like I'm the only broken one. So like I don't want to tell people I'm broken, but when you say I'm broken, it's okay to be broken.
Yeah.
It's okay to be lost, and that's why we're searching for Jesus our whole
Yeah.
life, right? And by the way, for anybody watching this, right, like it's not like you get saved and then everything's good forever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Life's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna do something and really mess everything up, right? And so one of the things that I wanted to see if you would share is, the devil's greatest tool, if he had like a shed of tools, would be like shame, right?
It's one of them, no doubt.
Like a big one, like shame, like not thinking you're worthy, or you're not good enough, or this is fake, right? Like dude, like God forgiving you for making a mistake, bro, you've made way too many. That's unforgivable. You know, like because the human mind tries to reason with that, and I feel like that's where a lot of people, because there's this thing that me and Jackie talk about called like self-sabotage. So many people, it's like this cycle. They raise their hand, they get help, they find the answer, and then they start living life, and then they freaking tear their life down, and they burn everything to the freaking ground again.
I wish I could say, I'm just being honest, I wish I could say all the great things that you say about me and you've said about me and your team of 900 people have said about me on the way in, and all those things, that's fun and everything, but like I can take no credit, none, for nothing. I mean nothing. I didn't choose my childhood. I didn't choose my mom, who's a saint. I didn't choose my background. I didn't choose the divorces that my parents went through. I didn't choose the personality I have. I didn't choose the drive I have. I didn't choose the athleticism that I used to have. I didn't choose any of it. I didn't choose to, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, because the most amazing story is that I survived something my hemorrhagic stroke 2 years ago and almost died, which is insane. And we can maybe end with that story, because it's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life, truly. But going back to your thought on that, what the devil does is the enemy does. And I get it, man. There's probably people that watch they're not believers yet, and they're like, I used to be that. I used to be like, my mom is at church she's at church every night. Like she's in a cult. Like she'd come home, like I'm like, this woman's crazy. And like my brain would go like, okay, God, if you're real, turn the lights on.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, see, like I everybody sees me this way now, but they didn't see mother effing SOBGD, like that guy, that Travis Hearn, like, and I don't take credit for not being that guy. God cleans people up, like, and I think so. Going back to your comment here, the devil has a shed full of tools, and one of those tools is shame. And depending on your weakness and your vulnerability, depends which one he uses on you. So shame is a big one. What he does is he minimizes sin on the front end. He minimizes it, and he's like, yo, Andy, come on, buddy, come on. This is not that big of a deal. You should take of this. You should take of this. It's just not that. This will make your life. It's not really what God said. It's not. It's the serpent in the garden. It's not really. It's God said, yeah, I know he said that, but it's because he knows it's going to bring you so much life and like, it's not really that, right? And so he minimizes sin on the front end, and then we almost convince ourselves like it's not that big of a deal, right? And then we take it, and then he goes, so he minimizes sin on the front end, and then he maximizes the results of it on the back end. You freaking idiot. You freaking idiot. You're no good. I can't, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be guilty. You should feel like this is unrecoverable, right? And those are all the lies of the enemy, because it's like everything's recoverable. With God, everything's recoverable. And so I think the tool shed is man, fear, it's guilt, it's shame, it's doubt, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's you talked about self-worth, like the worthiness, like there's so many tools, but I think depending on how we're wired, he targets each of us differently. And so, for one, it might be shame. For one, it might be insecurity. Right. Man, I can't help that. Like, you think anybody is insecure in this world goes, I'm choosing this. Nobody. Nobody goes, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow and be insecure and not, be uncertain of myself and unsure of myself and not like myself. I can't wait to look in the mirror and not like what I see. Nobody, right? But we end up there. But the great news is that, is that we come to an end, but it's really a new beginning and it's a new chapter, and you guys have both experienced that. And
when you say God cleans us, like that just makes me so happy.
Yes.
You know? And there was a time I almost went to jail, right? Made some bad decisions. And I remember thinking when I was going through that, it's over. And by the way, when I got through it on the other side, and like I didn't go to jail. I had another chance here.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, no one's gonna want to ever support us,
Right?
Except you.
Well, everyone's gonna know about this one day,
Right?
And when they know, we're crazy. And I'm gonna tell you, dude, we built our business, and we just basically took the devil's gun and just unloaded it, started dropping the bullets out. We started telling people who we are, what we did, whatever you heard, Travis, it was probably 10 times worth.
Yeah.
Look, if you met me back then, I didn't like that guy either.
Right.
I hated me.
Right.
I hated me. But come meet me now and tell me you don't like me.
Yes.
And if you don't, and I love you and I'm giving my best, and screw you.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, like,
Right.
we're not mean. We're not bad people. We have good hearts. Our intentions are in the right place.
Yeah.
I was a piece of crap back then.
Yeah.
When you talk about, like you just said, it feels like it's the end, but it's actually the beginning. Like, dude, like that's why like this message is so it's real.
It's the I don't know if you've ever heard me share this, but I always think in terms of like, so there's this story, and it's how a hunter would hunt a wolf in the snow, and the hunter would take a knife blade and he would coat it in animal blood and then freeze it, and then he would coat it in a second layer of animal blood and freeze it, and then he'd coat it in a third layer of animal blood and then freeze it. And so this knife blade has three layers of animal blood, and then he goes out and he sticks the knife in the snow and he goes to bed. Well, the knife is blade up in the snow, so he sticks it in the snow, but the blade's up. Well, a wolf doesn't know that's not an animal. It smells the animal blood, and it goes over to the knife blade and it starts to lick this knife blade, right? Well, at first it's ice, so you don't take, and then he gets through the first layer of ice, and then he tastes the animal blood, and then it's like, oh baby, that's what I'm talking about. Then he's licking faster and faster and more feverishly, and he gets through the second layer of ice, now to the second layer of animal blood, now to the third layer, and now to the third layer of animal blood, and pretty soon he's licking the keen sharp edge of this knife, but he doesn't know it, because by this time his mouth is numb, so he doesn't realize he's licking the knife blade, which is cutting and lacerating his mouth all open, and he licks himself to death.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, man.
So the analogy is, that's what we do. Man, I'm gonna just chase money.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna chase women. Man, I'm married, but I'm gonna cheat on my wife, and hopefully nobody finds out.
Yeah.
Anything done in the dark comes to light. Man, we all know that. We've been around long enough to figure that one out. And you know what? I'll just drug it away. I'll drink it away, and this licking the knife blade, right? And there's a reason there's that saying, like, there's a God-shaped hole in your soul, but only God can fill it. It's like a customized puzzle piece, and you could try to stick people, a woman, a man, money, drugs, pride, success. It's shaped for God.
Yeah.
And the moment you figure that out, that's when life starts to make sense, because it's I say this all the time, like, it's, because especially in the business world, people are trying to run a good business, make some money, right? Get it. And it's okay to have stuff unless stuff has you. Well, how do you know if stuff has you? There's a great debate. Yeah. Well, I think it's in scripturally, but also just my own human reasoning is like, I think it boils down to your generosity. How do you know if something has you? Well, you're a miser.
Yeah.
By the way, the word miser is the root word of miserable. Miser means I'm a hoarder. I keep, I stockpile. Miser it's about me and mine. I'm gonna get me and mine, and you can do that. And then you realize, man, I've got a great company, I got a great business, I got a lot of money or whatever it is, but you're like, dude, I'm miserable. Like, I'm miserable. And the moment we start giving it away,
Yeah,
that's the
releasing
moment
it.
you start finding purpose.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one time my best friend's younger sister, this was years ago, she was 28 years old, a law student at Gonzaga. She was a triathlete, health nut. It's my childhood best friend's 2 years younger than us, so it's like my own little sister. And she got diagnosed with cancer, right? And she since went to be with the Lord. She lived like 4 months after the diagnosis, which is crazy.
Wow.
Bad things happen to good people. She was a health nut. She's an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, this is uncontrollable. Life throws those uncontrollables at. So I was like, dude, I got to book a last minute plane ticket to Spokane, Washington. Well, of course, it's like last minute. I got to jump on a Southwest flight, and I'm like, Lord God in heaven, I do not want somebody to sit by me on this plane. Like, I'm mourning, I'm crying, I'm devastated. I'm like, this is not happening. She was still alive at the time. I was going to go up there and visit and pray with her and the family. And so I get on this Southwest plane, and of course the only seat left is the back seat of the plane, right? Well, that's the one that doesn't recline. You're up against the restroom, but I'm like, the plane's packed, but there's 3 seats, and I'm like, thank God there's 3 seats, you know? And then nobody's getting on the plane. Have you ever been there where you're just like, please God, don't let anybody else get on the plane? Like, I don't worry. I just like, you're hoping, and nobody else. I was like, nobody else. This is looking good, you know? And then, dude, in walks this guy. He is the biggest, most flashy, flamboyant, loud person I think I've ever been around. And he walks in, he's got this, you know, flat-billed hat on, and it says club something on it, and he's got chains, and, you know, he's got swag, and he's walking up the aisles, and, hey, what are you up to, man? I mean, he's so loud, and I'm like, there's 2 seats left on the plane. They're right by me. And I'm like, no, like, Lord God, no. Like, no, this wasn't the deal. Like, I didn't want this, you know. He comes and he sits down next to me, and I've got massive headphones. I got my hat on low. You know, I got sunglasses on, like, just hide, and he goes away. And so, like, I'm sitting there, and he goes, hey, right, real loud. I'm telling you, the whole plane could hear it. Hey. And I look over, and he goes, what's your name? And so, you know, you're trying to do the old trick. I'm going to bring him down by bringing my own voice down, you know. And I said, my name's Travis. He's like, nice to meet you. He just stayed at full tilt, right? And then he goes, you gonna ask me mine? And I mean, it was so crazy. So I go, what's your name? And he goes, Crocodile. just like that. And I'm like, this is not happening. Like, this is not happening right now. And I go, well, and then I'm like, did I hear him right? And then I'm like, well, I said, it's nice to meet you, you know, Crocodile. And he goes, ask me why. And I go, why? And he goes, because baby boy, Crocodile's going to make you smile. And I was like, we haven't even taken off yet. I'm like, there is no way, God, this is happening. Like, why would you? And so we start to ascend, and he's talking to me. Well, turns out he's Mike Tyson's trainer, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm with Team Tyson. He shows me his forearm. He's got this big Mike Tyson face, and it says Team Tyson. And, you know, next thing you know, we have the best conversation. He was the coolest guy ever. At one point, he goes, yeah, when I did time, you know, and we just kept moving, like, pretty fast through it. And I go, wait. I said, you just said you did time? And he's like, yeah. And I go, what'd you do time for? And he goes, manslaughter. And I'm like, oh, you know, because, like, how long? He's like, I was in there for 20 years, you know. Oh, wow. So we get to this point in the conversation where he's telling me stories. And he's like, man, we were on the jet one time coming back from, I forget where, Hong Kong, somewhere. And he's like, we're on with Mike and people. He's like, man, it was, man, we had, you know, hors d'oeuvres, and we had women, and we had, like, you know, we had it was the most incredible. And he said, I remember looking at Mike, and I said, Mike, we're living now, huh, Mike? And he goes, isn't that crazy? And I go, bro, that's not only crazy, that's like, nobody gets that opportunity. That's incredible, bro. You've had some cool experiences. I said, but listen, from my experience, and just consider this, man, like, I think true living comes from giving, not getting. It's not about private jets and caviar and the whatever lust of the flesh and the lust of, the pride of life and the lust of the eye, as the Bible describes them. But like all that is like fleshly, and our flesh man goes, yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that. But like when you really learn the secret of what living is truly about, that's when you find fulfillment. Step one, like giving your life to Jesus Christ. It's the greatest decision I've ever made. I've made a lot of really good decisions. I've made a lot of really bad ones. I've made more bad ones than good ones. The best decision was giving Jesus, like for your audience, you guys have an incredible audience because you have an incredible, I would call it a ministry. It's your business, but it's a ministry because it's people. Yeah. Ministry, the word ministry means to serve. You're giving a service. Yeah. Like, let me help you build great companies, right? Well, when you think about that for a minute, it's like when you think about what you're actually wanting in life and what you're trying to do, if you have any viewers or listeners that they've never tried Jesus, I always go try them. Like, you've tried everything else. Yeah. I mean, you've tried money and drugs and women and men and relationship, and you've tried it all. Like, how's it going for you? Yeah. Right? So that was me. Like, I tried all that even at a young age, and then it was when I tried Jesus, man, it changed everything. And I mean everything. Not just me as a human, but how to be a great daddy, how to be a good husband, how to be a shepherd, a pastor, a leader of leaders, how to have empathy because I didn't, how to be about others because I wasn't, how to think like, this isn't about me, this is about you, and how can I help you? God did all that. So when I say God cleans you up, like you said, you get saved, you give your life to Christ, not like everything's perfect. No, it might be less than if you didn't. Right. It might be harder living for Christ than if you don't, because the enemy now has a target on your back because you're a threat to the enemy. So you know what? Let me come at you guys. And I think the bigger the threat, the harder he comes at us. Like, if you got listeners out there and they got no problems in life, you're probably not a threat to the enemy. You got some problems, you're a threat, and he knows it. True. And so I think and in spite of that, it's the best decision I've ever made. Yeah. So much purpose, so much fulfillment, and I think you guys have discovered the same thing. That's why your companies are the success that they are. It's not about you. You're the vessel. Yeah. Like, God used me, and the moment we start to go, wait, I'm kind of cool. Like, look at what I'm like. He's just gonna go slap us around every
exactly
time.
Every time.
Yeah.
God, man.
Yeah.
It happens.
So good, dude.
Yes.
I'm like. Life is a 24/7, 365 mastermind. Mm-hmm. Just look around.
Yes.
Who do you want to be?
Yes.
Who do you not want to be? What kind of life do you want? Do you want peace? You got a lot going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I mean a lot. But you always seem at peace.
Yeah.
That's something that only God can give. I know you preach that a lot.
Yeah.
Can we talk about, I was talking about like coming back. This is super important, and life's going to throw curveballs. Dude, you talked about uncontrollables. Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, that girl was a triathlon person. She's a triathlete. She said she was a health nut, and then 4 months later, she's dead.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there are uncontrollables. To just kind of, number one, Travis Hearn, you guys are seeing him. They can stream, right?
Yeah.
How can they stream and watch your teachings? How can they do that?
I mean, you can go to impactchurch.com. That's the easiest way to find anything you need. And then obviously we're on YouTube, Impact Church Services. My Instagram is just my name, so that's pretty easy. At Travis Hearn, Hearn. But yeah.
I want to tell you guys, if you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, just wait. Every time we go to church, like every time, it's like I'm entertained, which number one, I love it. And I love number two, you don't hold anything back. Mm-hmm. And I love number three, that you find a way to be able to tell a story to make me understand how that story you told, I can see that story does exist somewhere in my life, and I need to straighten up. And, I feel like, it's just amazing, man. It's so weird. Everybody needs something to plug into if they want to change. This is a great opportunity for you guys to plug into him right now. Yeah. Hardcore every day, all the time. Let's talk about this. You said 2 years ago you had a stroke?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's just crazy, because it almost seemed like it was like yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, I don't say that weirdly, but has 2 years passed?
Yeah.
I remember we go to church. We're getting really excited about. There was something that was coming up. Was it Christmas? Was it Thanksgiving?
Probably Christmas was coming up. Well, I mean, Thanksgiving was too.
Yeah, but it was
at the
before
time.
Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
and
week.
it was 1 week. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember Thanksgiving was like a week away. We went to church before Thanksgiving.
We heard it from Todd.
Yeah, but we
Pastor
were
Todd.
planning
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, and we were planning the church. We were like, oh, we're going to eat. We're going to go to church. We're going to do these. And we got word that he had a massive stroke, and they like helicoptered him. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
That he was
Like
just
what?
fine last week.
Dude, I just watched him last week. The dude was on fire. Let's kind of finish out with like what you've learned from this.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's great.
it was insane, dude. Everybody was just like, whoa. And then, dude, I mean, honestly, to me, you were incredible then, but dude, you're like on like 20 different levels now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, usually when something happens, people go down, and dude, you went up.
Yeah.
Like there's something different about you now.
The
It's-
passion is different.
Dude, it's crazy. So, why don't you tell the story?
So yeah,
take it
so
with you.
so the passion's the same, the urgency's different. When you almost die and you're given a second chance, it changes you forever. It alters you. So for me, the story is other than my salvation experience, it's the most significant story in my life. And so I'm crazy. So for all y'all listeners, this is what I believe. I believe that there is a spirit world full of angels and demons in warfare over your life, over my life, over my purpose, my joy, your peace, my peace. They are warring. If you could put spiritual goggles on and look into the spirit world, you could see this spiritual warfare. If you are a Christian and a believer, you already believe that and know that to be true. So the reason I preface with that is because we had just written and recorded our first worship song. So Impact Church started as a Bible study for the Arizona Cardinals, eventually open to the public. Now it's 10,000 people every Sunday and growing. That's the roots of it. So Bible study, Arizona Cardinals, open to the community, and now it is what it is today. So and we eventually got to where our music was like, they're good, like really, really good, which I mean really good, like insanely good. So we're like, you know what, we've never written songs before, we should write a song. So we decided to write some songs, record some songs, put them out on all music platforms. We wrote a song called He Is the Miracle. We released the song on Friday, November 11th of 2022. So that's the first one we've ever done.
Yeah.
It's called He Is the Miracle. Okay, remember I said this
Yeah.
is spiritual warfare. Just think about it for a minute.
I remember.
He is the miracle. So then on Sunday morning, November 13th, I preach a sermon titled He Is the Miracle.
Yeah.
And I opened with, I believe God still does modern day miracles. I believe the God of the Bible still does miracles like that today. I believe that God still heals bodies, that he still resurrects marriages, that he heals you of depression, that he can set you free from drug addiction. That was the whole message. On that same day, our first song that we've ever written in our lives, and we don't even know what we're doing, by the way. If you've only done one, you don't know what you're doing. It climbs the iTunes charts on the Christian music genre charts.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know was a thing until this. And I'm like, we're charting in the top 200, and then it goes into the top 100, then it goes into the top 50, then 25, then 10. It goes all the way to number 1.
Wow.
So the same day I'm preaching, He is the Miracle, it charts all the way to number 1. So our team goes crazy. We're celebrating. We're on cloud 9. I mean, this is like the spiritual high of the lifetime. Like, what do you know what we're doing? Look at this. Look what God's doing, right?
Yeah.
He is the miracle. He really is the miracle. The next day, I had a massive brain bleed, a hemorrhagic stroke in the basal ganglia area of my brain. So this is why I'm saying you can't tell me that this isn't spiritual warfare. Thursday before that, I was in the middle of updating and upgrading my life insurance. I got an A+ rating. They do the blood draws and do all that stuff. I got an A+ rating on Thursday. On Monday, I had a massive brain bleed, hemorrhagic stroke in the basal ganglia area. The reason that's important to understand is that's the top of the brain stem.
Right.
That's every function of your brain goes through the basal ganglia. It goes to, so there. I've since learned there's lots of different types of strokes. There's blood clot strokes. There's brain bleed strokes. But then even that, there's lots of those. Where did you have the brain bleed? Was it here? 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 Mine was in the absolute worst location it could be in. So, you know, I go from like, you know, we release a song, He's a Miracle, to Sunday I preach a sermon, He's a Miracle, to Monday, I need God to be the very miracle that I just told the world I believed in. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the office with my wife and my youngest daughter Jazzy. I got a handful of grapes. This is Monday around 4 p.m. And I start dropping grapes. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, why am I dropping grapes? Well, my wife and I, we did cold plunges that morning. Like ice bath, doctor controlled, supervised, 2 minutes, you know. So I thought it was something still with the ice bath, right? So I'm dropping grapes. Jazzy wants to go to the store, my daughter. So I'm driving her to the store. Natalie's back at the church, my wife. I get to the store and I text Natalie, hey, I'm dropping grapes. It's really weird. And she calls me absolutely panicking. Travis, please stay in your car. I'm coming to get you. I'm like, well, I'm walking into the store now. We're already right in the middle of the store at the entry. And she's like, please go back. I'm like, what? I said, babe, I'm good. She's like, you're not good. I said, I'm dropping grapes. Like, I'm all right. I just dropped some grapes. And she's like, go back and read what you sent me. So I take out my phone and I don't remember exactly, but it said something like, I'm draping grapes or something. It was just like backwards, twisted, right? So I read it to her like like it should sound, and she goes, "That's not what you wrote. Look what you wrote." So I'm like, okay, so I'll go back out I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. Stay there. I'm coming to get you. So me and Jazzy go back out to get in my car. She comes, picks me up. We go home. It's 3-4 minutes down the road. She's begging me to call 911, and I'm like, I'm not calling 911, babe. Like, I dropped some grapes. Like, now at this point, I've dropped my cell phone a few times. So I'm just thinking still the ice bath, long weekend, emotional weekend, like boom. Like, so I said, I'm going to go to bed for 1 hour. I'm going to take a nap. If I still feel like this, I promise we'll call. Please, Travis, please don't go to sleep. Please, 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 please. I'm like, babe, I'm going to go take a nap. I lay down for 5 minutes and I'm like, something's not right.
Yeah.
I could talk normal. I could think normal. My head didn't hurt. I dropped some grapes. That's it. My face wasn't like hanging. I dropped some grapes. So 5 minutes into what was going to be a nap, I'm like, I can't. So I start to get up. Natalie walks in the bedroom and goes, I'm calling. And I said, okay, call. She calls 911. This is the craziest story. I mean, it's the craziest story. She calls 911 and she says down the hallway, I think my husband's having a stroke. That thought never crossed my mind, not once. Never crossed my mind. And in my head, I'm like, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I am not having a stroke. Like, so they go, if you think so, he needs to lay on his back. Within 3-4 minutes, the paramedics, no kidding, within 3-4 minutes, they're at my house. I got 4 firefighters in my house. I'm laying on my back. They do all this testing, right? All the paramedics test. They even do a stroke test. I passed it just fine. So Natalie's still begging them, will you please tell him to go? Will you take him? They're like, well, we can't take him unless, he's got to say yes. Like it. So I'm laying on my back like this. I look up at this one. Remember, there's 4 firefighters, maybe 5 in my house. I look at one of them and I go, what do you think I should do? And he goes, Pastor, as a member of your congregation, I think you should go to the hospital. And I had no idea that man went to my church. I've never seen that man in my life. He didn't know he was walking into his pastor's house. It's just another call for him. Until he gets in the living room and sees, that's my pastor.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I would not have went to the hospital. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for my wife, you need to go, and it called 911.
So crazy.
If it wasn't for that man being in my church and being part of our church, I would not have. So I go, okay. I said, well, let's go. They bring the stretcher in. I got on the stretcher by myself. Like, that's how I was fine. I got up, got on the stretcher, laid back on it. They're wheeling me out. I looked at my wife and my daughter and I go, you guys don't worry, Daddy, just get some tests. I'll be right back. Like, don't worry, all right? Like, I'm kind of joking with them. They put me in the ambulance. I don't remember anything.
You're done.
Don't remember the ambulance ride over. So I go to the hospital. They do a scan, a CT scan. They call Natalie, your husband's suffering from a massive brain bleed. We got a helicopter him to a level 1 trauma center. They helicopter me to a level 1 trauma center, and I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. So I'm hospitalized now. I lost my speech. I lost my memory. I lost my motor skills, my cognition. I'm gone. Like, gone, right? So when I'm in this state, when I'm hospitalized, one of the medical workers told my wife, you should be prepared because the effects of this particular stroke are irreversible. Mm-hmm. So, imagine being your wife here. Like, so my wife's a woman of God, dude. She ain't gonna believe nobody. She's gonna believe God.
Yeah.
So you either believe what the doctor's telling me, or I believe what the great physician's telling me, right? I either believe what the words of the world say or what the words of the word said. And my wife went to the word immediately. God drew her to a scripture. Can you believe this? In the book of Acts chapter 3, verse 16. You know what that scripture says? Acts 3:16. It says, by faith in the name of Jesus, this man whom you see now is completely healed. In Jesus' name for all the world to see. She took that, she put it on her Instagram story, and she clung to that, and she prayed that and prayed that and prayed that and prayed that. And then on Wednesday, I went in on Monday. On Wednesday, they asked me every hour on the hour they do a test, right? Touch your nose. Lift up your arm. I can't do it. Hey, what's your name? What's your kid's name? What's your wife's name? What year is it? What's the date? What's today? Like, all that stuff, right? Yeah. They go, what's your kids' names? What's your children's names? And I said 40. And I knew, like, deep down inside somewhere, like, this is not good. Because I know, I can't even think of my kids. Like, in my head, I'm not there. And I looked at Natalie and I said, plain as day. Remember, I can't talk. Plain as day. And I go, count it all joy. And the medical worker goes, what did he say? And we were weepy. And he said, count it all joy, which is a scripture in the Bible from the book of James, chapter 1, that says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the producing of your faith produces patience. Let patience have its perfect work in you, that you may be mature and complete. So here, going back to this, I believe if we put on spiritual goggles and could see in the spirit world, we would see a battle of warfare going on for our souls. You can tell me, but you can't tell me that was not a spiritual attack on my life. Yes. The very moment we release a song into the world, the very moment I preach a sermon about it, the very moment I need this exact same miracle, and then I'm in the depths of hell and I can't get myself out. I can't even say my children's names, but I knew enough to be able to say a verse perfectly in context of the situation.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
It's a miracle.
That's incredible. And by Friday afternoon, I got out of hospital. So I was in the hospital for 5 days. They let me out of the hospital because he really, truly is the miracle. And so I started writing a book about it. It's called The Fire Is For You. I believe the book has the keys to change people's lives, to give people hope, to set people free, to heal bodies, to heal marriages, to heal friendships, to forgive when we don't feel like we can forgive, to be forgiven, to be free of guilt and shame and all those things. And frankly, that's why, you guys, I'm actually here today, is because I got this book coming out, The Fire Is For You, because the Bible talks in three terms when it comes to trials. It uses 3 metaphors. It uses storms, right? It uses valleys, and it uses fires. And all 3 of those are different. Storms are, man, it's coming down on me, right? It's raining. Valleys, a low place in life. The fire is like, dude, this thing's going to burn me and everything around me. It's the pressure. Well, what I've learned is that with God, there are no wildfires, only controlled fires. Yeah. And the fire really is for you because he's cleaning you, purifying you, the impurities, pulling out the impurities in your life. Like, it seems like this is going to burn me up, but it's not. against you, it's for you. It's kind of like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were in the fire. And then the king goes, wait, I thought we threw 3 in the fire, but it looks like there's 4 in the fire. And then they came out and it says they didn't even smell, or there wasn't a hint. There was no evidence that they were ever in that fire, because that's the good work God does. So what do we got today? What are your viewers, your listeners? What do they got? They got fires.
Yeah.
Man, my marriage is going through a fire. My child's health's going through a fire. Man, I'm going through a health fire too. Man, PT, I had a stroke too. I got diagnosed with cancer. Fires.
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic and I can't kick it. Fire. I'm a drug addict. Can't kick it. Fire. I have low self-esteem. Fire. The fire is for you. And too many times we condemn the fire, right? We're trying to put that fire out on our own, but it's like, just understand that, like, God has allowed it.
Yeah, you need it.
And we need it. And it is going to make us more like God. It is going to mature us. We're going to be better as a result of it. So the end game is this: what are you going to do with the fire? Because you said it a minute ago, like, man, we went through this, and then once we got through it, we started telling others to try to help them. That's what you do with the fire. The fire is for you. The fire is for you. And so it's coming out here pretty soon. It releases, the pre-sale releases on November 17th, because that's the 2-year anniversary of my stroke.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
it'll be on Amazon, or people can go to TravisHearn.com right now. It's a landing page for that book.
TravisHearn.com.
TravisHearn.com.
Fill out their information.
Yep, easy.
Pre-order.
Put your email in and it's ready. And then once it's out, it's easy. But it's gonna be it will definitely help people, and that's my heart. Like, you said at the beginning, well, we were talking about second chances, and like I think of it this way, like, you talk about the comeback kid. Like, to me, it's like, here we serve a God of second chances. We serve a God of second chances. So I'm a comeback kid, not because, oh, look at me. I'm a comeback kid because of God's grace. Yeah. At the same time, I got grit and heart, and I'm determined. So are you. Like, we've got passion. We're in. When we're in, we're in. Yeah. You get all of me. I'm in. Well, I almost died. The devil almost took my wife's husband. The enemy almost took my children's father. So when I got out of that hospital, I said, I'm freaking crushing. And I started going through 6 different therapies, 6 days a week, all day. It was a full-time job. I started getting my nutrition back. I started working out. Like, if I showed you, I might not. I might give you pre and post, pre-stroke picture and a post-stroke picture, because it's inspiring to go, what do you do when life throws its blows at you? You going to just let them beat you up? Like, no, man, I'm coming. I'm coming. And so you talked about earlier, you said a newfound, like you used the word passion, and I said, no, the passion's the same. Right. The urgency's different, because I almost died. Yeah. The passion's always been there. Yeah. But the urgency is, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, and I live that firsthand. So it's like, I'm coming to give the world what I know works. Yeah. It's what works. We've tried it all. My gosh, we've tried it all. But this works. God works. Jesus works. It's the truth. He is the truth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And if I didn't believe that, I would have given it up a long time ago and went, yeah, the whole God thing, God's a fraud. Like, it's just the truth. It's the truth. What do you have to lose? Give it a try. Give it a try.
Dude.
Let's definitely change. Oh man, this is incredible.
You put me in like a trance. I'm like over here, and I'm just like, everything you say, I'm like, all right, stopping that. All right, quitting that. All right, making some decisions here. No, but I start checking in my head.
The intensity is just such a good message, because you don't have that time. We've been talking about that a lot lately. Intensity, a lot of people just wait and, try to make a difference and try to do the right thing, or just procrastinate because they think they have the time. Yeah. You were perfectly healthy, and you just, that happened to you. So that intensity needs to happen. And we always talk about, don't wait for something bad to happen before you take action, before you change, before you give your life to Christ, before you show your family that, that you deserve to be, my kids, that I deserve to be their mom, because I see it that way, or to be a good wife, or whatever it is, that show our team that we love them. Everything that we do, we have to bring that intensity. And that's how you find fulfillment. That's how you find purpose. And that's what God wants for you.
Every when I went through this scare, every news station in Arizona covered it. Mm-hmm. All of them. Yeah. 3, 5, 10, 12, 15. Every news station covered it. And my picture in the hospital room showed up on the news. I end up on the front page of the sports section of the Arizona Republic, which is AZ Central, right? Mm-hmm. That's where Kevin Durant goes. That's where Devin Booker goes. That's where stars I ended up. It was my picture going through this. You know what the picture was? You know what the picture on every news station was? It was me in the hospital bed with my wife crawled up in the hospital bed with me. We're snuggling.
Yeah.
My mom took the picture right on the end of the hospital bed with her cell phone, and I've got my arm wrapped around Natalie, just like this. What do you think showed everywhere?
Yeah.
Yahweh. I mean, I give goosebumps thinking about it. Like, dude, I'm not using. If you're gonna try to take me out and I survive, it's like a street fight.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like then I'm coming.
Yeah.
And so that's what this book is. It's like I don't care about like. I know it's gonna help people. It's gonna give people hope, and that's. I was interviewed by the L.A. Tribune a month ago about the book, and they said if you could sum up if you had one wish for the book, what would it be? And I said hope. Because hope's like a drug, dude. If you don't have hope, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
I need hope. And this book gives hope. Like, if God can do it for me, he can do it for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe he will. I prayed over this book.
Yeah.
God, do it for them. Whoever lays their hands on it, like, do it for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're right, right? Mm-hmm. Being a mama, being a daddy, being a friend, for me, it's a pastor, a shepherd. Being like, man, there's so much I could talk about that actual event for days. But the bottom line of it is the comeback kid. I love that. I love that because it's for me, it's coming back from this health journey, this near death experience. Right. For me, it's coming back from childhood trauma.
Right.
And like, do something good with it, man. Don't just be like, I'm bitter and broken now for the rest. Like, okay, yeah, we all have gone through some hell. Everybody, we've gone through hell. But what are you gonna do about it now? Like, what are you going to do about it? Because this is what I'm doing about it.
Exactly.
And I think, if we use our brokenness, because you mentioned that at the beginning too, we all want to talk about our strengths. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Look how great I speak. Look how great of a business owner I am. Look how great of a whatever. Look at my body. Look at my physique. Look at how great I eat. Look at how healthy I am. Look at my marriage. Look at my family. Like, nobody cares. Yeah. You know what they care? They when you do like the Apostle Paul and you lead from brokenness.
Yes.
That's what Paul did. He goes, I boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses. If the Apostle Paul said that, I think we should be able to go, I kind of suck at that. I need to change that in my life. I need to fix this in my life. I need to rise up on this, right? He goes, I boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, but he doesn't stop with that. He goes, because when I am weak, he is strong. Bro, come on. Yeah. That's why I can't take any credit. Like, I didn't do it. I did my part,
That's so good,
but he did it. Right. He did it. When I am weak, he is strong. Yeah. Boasting in Christ about our weaknesses. It's so crazy.
Good. So awesome. And also how he used Natalie, your wife, and her intuition, because women have that God-given intuition.
Yes.
Of like really like following that instinct. And it's amazing. I'd love to talk to her about that one day and just be
God told her.
Yes, exactly.
He spoke to her. She knew. It wasn't like, guys, it's not even on my radar screen, which is our whole marriage. She knows, and I'm like, huh? Like, the woman's intuition, right? I mean, yes. And I've learned, and I still am, but learning to trust that. Yeah. It's like, it's true. It's special. It's you're right. I wouldn't be here if it weren't. I wouldn't be here. The doctor said, good thing he didn't go to sleep, he'd have died. Good thing he didn't take a nap, he wouldn't have woken up.
And she didn't, it's not like she knew what to do. She just felt like, don't go to sleep.
Yes. She didn't know. She didn't know.
When my wife starts doing that stuff, like, hey, don't do that. You're like, babe, we already have it planned. Yeah. Everybody's going to be
We're
there.
already way down the road on this.
But it doesn't feel right. And I'm like, babe, oh my God, are you serious? It's like,
I'm going to unwind this baby.
You
better unwind it.
But she's right every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Even about hires. I'm thinking about bringing somebody and onboarding, and Natalie be like, I don't know, Trav, I don't have a good. I'm like, babe, no, listen, I know, but like, and then I do it, and 3 months into it, I'm like, I don't want to tell her she was right, but
she's always right.
She's always right. My goodness.
Well, that's good.
I just want to say, Travis, we're super grateful.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
I mean, dude, just just unreal. So obviously. Every bit of success, all the credit goes to God. All the credit goes to Jesus. And we'll finish with this, but number one, everybody get his book immediately. TravisHearn.com. We'll put it on. When your book gets released, we'll blast it all over Instagram. We'll share it everywhere. We'll make sure everyone in the world knows. Make sure that you guys tag him on Instagram when you guys get the book. when you watch this, tag him, find your best clip.
Yeah. And you can watch church online
yes,
as well, which
watch
is
church
amazing.
online.
So I think a lot of people, I mean, not everybody's local to Arizona, but there's people all over the world that listen to this, that they can be a part of that as well, because you do stream, church, Impact Church.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's great.
And
It's
you
an
can
amazing
stream it. Go to YouTube, Impact Church, every Sunday. If we ever miss, no matter where we are, we stream it. And then another
Just
deal
Apple TV.
is give. If you learn a little bit about him, and when you see what he's about, you're like, oh my God. I always say, like, I'm going to give as much as I can to people that are impacting the world. He said he's a leader's leader. I love that, man. I'm a leader. I need someone to help me lead. I need someone to help me stay sharp. I need that edge. I love his urgency. I think we all need more urgency. He could have died. He was given another chance, and he knows now. He doesn't know when that next event is going to happen, whether it's 40 years down the road or it's 4 days from now.
He's not wasting any
He's going
time.
to go hard. He's not wasting any time. And he's like, you want to fight? Cool, let's fight.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I think it's time for us all to get stirred up
Yes.
about why we're alive, doing something big. So, guys, make sure you get his book. Follow him on social media. Make sure that you go and watch him do his amazing teachings, which is transformative to our kids. Watch it. My wife, me, my entire company, Elliott Army, goes to the church here in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Our kids got baptized at your church, by the way.
Yeah,
Let's go.
So it's amazing. But we love you guys. Have a blessed day. I hope this changed your life. And maybe you watch it 4 or 5 times and share it with a friend. Okay? Love you guys. See you in the next podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Hey guys, looks like you made it to the end of the video. You're the true 0.0001%ers. Look, I know 1%ers that can make it halfway through the video, but making it all the way through, you guys are the best. Now, here's what I'd like to do. Number one, I want to get closer to you. The fact that you made it all the way through the video, you're like, man, dude, I want to roll with this guy. Okay, so I need to connect with you. Down below, there's a description box on this YouTube video. There's a link. It says Coach with Me one-on-one. Okay? If you'll go and you'll enter your information, I'll reach out to you in the next 24 hours. You can tell me what you need help with, what your goals are, and we will crush it together. I would love to help you guys go to the next level in life. You can tell I'm changing my life really fast, and I know that you guys want the same thing. I'd love to go with you on that journey. So right now, if you'd like to partner with me, team with me, if you want me to help coach you and push you, everybody needs a coach, a higher level of accountability to go to the next level. Go to the description box below, click on the link, fill out your information. I'll talk to you in the next 24 hours. Let's kill it.